My brother, President Prabowo, उनकी मौजूदगी ने इसे मेरे लिए और विशेष बना दिया। मैं फिजिकली भले ही जकार्ता से सैकड़ों किलोमीटर दूर हूं, लेकिन मेरा मन इस आयोजन के उतने ही करीब है जितना भारत इंडोनेशिया के आपसी रिश्ते। अभी कुछ ही दिन पहले प्रेसिडेंट प्रबोवो भारत से 140 करोड़ भारतवासियों का प्यार लेकर गए। मुझे विश्वास है उनके जरिए आप सब।
Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto is on his very first visit to India as the head of state. He is all set to attend the 76th Republic Day celebrations as the chief guest. Now what's interesting is that he is the fourth Indonesian president that will grace the grand parade along the Oktober path. His participation as the chief guest for Republic Day continues a tradition of strong ties, as Soekarno, Indonesia's first president, was the guest of honor at India's inaugural Republic Day in 1950. But who exactly is Prabowo Subianto? Let's take a look. He was born on 17th October 1951 in Jakarta. His father, Sumitro Dorojo Hadikusumo, was an economist, and his mother, Dora Sigar, hailed from a family with strong political connections. His father was exiled due to differences with Sukarno in the 1960s. He therefore completed his secondary schooling from Victoria Institution in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. He then went on to graduate from the American School in London. He enrolled at Georgetown University in Washington and studied economics. He then went on to graduate in 1974 from the Indonesian Military Academy, and from 1976 he served in the Indonesian Army Special Forces Command. He was then selected to receive training in the United States of America at Fort Bragg in North Carolina in 1980. And shortly after that, in 1983, he was promoted from captain to major. 3 years later, that is in 1986, he attended the Indonesian Army Command and General Staff College. And after graduating from this, he returned to duty as a Lieutenant Colonel commanding the Airborne Infantry Battalion No. 17. Then, in 1991, he was promoted to Chief of Staff of Airborne Infantry Brigade 17 and made Colonel. He was then made a Brigadier General and Deputy Commander in October 1994. Merely 2 years later, in June 1996, Prabowo Subianto was promoted to the rank of Major General, and he received yet another promotion in 1998, becoming a Lieutenant General. However, the abduction and torture by the military of pro-democracy activists protesting Suharto's rule that year led to his discharge, and he voluntarily entered exile in Jordan in 1998. He returned to Indonesia in 2001 to join his wealthy brother Hashim in the business world. He entered politics in 2004, attempting to become a presidential candidate for the Golkar party. However, he failed to secure the nomination. But he served on the Golkar party's advisory board until 2008, when he resigned in order to start his own party, the Gerindra Party. Gerindra joined forces with the Indonesian Democratic Party of Struggle to nominate him for vice president in 2009. However, Prabowo Subianto lost the contest to Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono and his running mate Koidino. In 2014, he once again entered the presidential contest, this time at the top of a coalition ticket. He came in second place to Joko Widodo, a result that he initially refused to accept. He conceded the race only after Indonesia's constitutional court rejected his appeal that August. In 2019, he once again challenged Joko Widodo a second time. However, Widodo easily defeated him and he once again appealed to the Constitutional Court, which unanimously rejected his stay. To the surprise of many supporters, Prabowo Subianto soon thereafter made peace with Widodo, who appointed him as the defense minister. The full extent of Prabowo's and Widodo's new partnership became apparent in 2024, when he ran to succeed Widodo and chose Widodo's son as his running mate. Along with Joko Widodo's support, he won the presidential election and was sworn into office on October 20th, 2024. Now, shortly after being sworn in, he attended the G20 summit in Rio de Janeiro. On the sidelines of the summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a bilateral with him. Now, India and Indonesia are close maritime neighbors with cultural and trade ties spanning over a millennia. Indonesia is home to approximately 150,000 persons of Indian origin, whose ancestors had migrated to that country in the 19th and 20th centuries. There are around 14,000 Indian nationals who are currently residing in Indonesia. These include entrepreneurs, engineers, chartered accountants, IT professionals, consultants, and bankers. But that's not all. The Southeast Asian nation is also an important pillar in India's Act East policy. It is one of India's largest trading partners in the ASEAN, with a volume of trade recorded at $29.40 billion. Indian investments in Indonesia amount to $1.56 billion in infrastructure, power, textiles, steel, automobile, mining, banking, and consumer goods sectors. The bilateral defense and security ties have also witnessed steady expansion after signing of a defense cooperation agreement in 2018. Now, both sides are expected to firm up several pacts to expand cooperation in a number of areas. Talks are primarily focused on a potential deal for India to sell the BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles to Jakarta. Indonesia has been in protracted talks with BrahMos Aerospace, a joint venture between India and Russia, to procure a shore-based version of the mid-range missiles and a version that can be mounted on warships. In 2023, the discussions reached an advanced stage, with Jakarta eyeing a deal worth around $200 to $350 million. Now, ahead of his trip, the Indonesian president did say that his visit would focus on strengthening ties in security, maritime, and digital technology sectors. So whether this deal will materialize remains to be.
Well, the Indonesian president has sent a very strong message of peace speaking at this year's UN General Assembly. Essentially, he focused heavily on the conflict in Gaza, but that was not the only hotspot in the world where his vision and where his attention was focused, where his spotlight was placed. He did say that, quote unquote, Indonesia right now has 20,000 sons and daughters that they are ready to send as a peacekeeping force to any war zone in the world, be it Gaza, Ukraine, Sudan, Libya, basically any hotspot and any hotbed, really. He has also talked about record harvests in Indonesia that have allowed his country to help to send aid to Gaza and to at least try and alleviate some of the fallout of the humanitarian disaster, absolute catastrophe that is ravaging that land right now. That is, of course, in the form of the shipments of grain, rice, basically food that people can put in their mouths over there in a war-torn Palestine. Also, at the same time, he has once again said that they are committed, that Indonesia is committed to a two-state solution when it comes to the issue of Gaza and Palestine and so on. So again, powerful and very.
I've just seen the most powerful speech by an Indonesian president at the UN summit, where he says that whenever the UN is ready, he will send 20,000 troops to Gaza to ensure peace at the minimum. And he also said some of the most powerful words that I think should go down or will go down in history. He said, "I cannot be right. The right is right." So this guy has more courage than all our European leaders combined, who are just spineless cowards.